Now onwards, your children will go to the next grade, higher grade. And then if you started bringing books, put in my cart, 3-4 hours, my cart was filled with books. So more than 2,000 books were collected in one day. In few months, more than 10,000 books were collected. Then they set up a book bank. So people started calling me Kailash Book Bank Wala.
Tell me why we have this problem. Is it feudalistic society? Are we a feudalistic society? Is that why it is? Or is it
It's a combination of several factors. One is the greediness of employers and the vulnerability of poor people, societies, communities deliberately kept backward or poor, who wanted to make easy money out of
poor
people and children in particular. Children cannot raise their voice, cannot form the unions, they cannot go to the court after law, exploited physically, mentally, but also many cases. This is the biggest reason.
Can you go back to the day stopped writing and then someone came to you and said my daughter getting trafficked? So tell me that whole story, what happened.
And his daughter's name was Sabo. When she was about to be sold to a brothel, one day parents saw that some unknown people came from a brothel and they were bargaining the price. They wanted to buy that girl, and this girl is virgin and you have to pay more money. Girl was taken to a room and these people have touched their body and all kind of nonsense happened. I started feeling something different, that look, my brother, I am going to rescue your daughter at any cost.
You lost 3 people of your own.
I lost 3 people. One was shot dead, one was beaten to death, and one died in the operation. And according to it, there were more than 1 million children working in carpet making in South Asia. At least 800,000
Kids were rescued.
And they might have gone to school. Many of them I cannot guarantee, because the demand for fair carpet, demand for labeled carpet has increased. This initiative was able to create at least 800 adult jobs in place of children.
History is never written by those who just sit and clap at the fans. You need not to look outside. I always say that don't look heroes and worship them outside. There is a hero inside each one of you.
Welcome to yet another episode of Tomorrow Today with Shekhar Natarajan. It's my real honor to have an idol on this show, Kailash Satyarthi ji. So he's a Nobel laureate, won his Nobel Peace Prize in 2014 for humanitarian causes. There are many celebrities and many influencers and many strong people I have interviewed. But this is going to be my absolute favorite because I've been awed by your stories. I'm you're a superhuman. And the world would see why you're a superhuman through the show as well.
I cannot fly, even if you say.
But you can rescue a lot of people. So, yes. This is there are many moments in life where you meet a lot of interesting people, but this is a moment of awe for me. It's an honor to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Shekharji.
Thank you. Let's start from the very beginning, of your early days. And these are all pretty known to people, but I would love my audience to hear. And we have about 1.5 million people following us, subscribed to our show. And there's been incredible love and affection of what we're trying to do. So, age 5, you go to school. You saw a kid who's actually polishing the shoes outside the school. Something in you said, this doesn't seem right. I never even thought of something like that. Where does that compassion in you come from? What was the moment? Why did you feel that?
Yeah, thank you. I don't know whether I thought or I felt. I think I felt. Because it was so spontaneous when I was entering in my local school for ordinary people, poor people. I was going there because I also come from a humble background. So it was a municipal school.
And this is in Vidisha.
This is in my hometown, Vidisha, where I was born and grew up. That is an ancient place close to Sanchi, the stupa of Buddha. So that is an ancient place. So anyway, so when I was about to enter and climbing up some stairs, I suddenly saw a boy my age sitting at a corner, and I could not forget his face and eyes because he was not looking at us, me and other young boys and girls going to school. He was looking at our feet. Perhaps we are going to give him some job. And he was sitting under an open sky with a small old wooden box, and some shoes and other tools were lying over there. So suddenly I felt that why this child is not going to school. And that disappointed me. I was struggling for a few minutes when I was in class for the first day, for the first time. But when my turn came of introducing myself, I asked my teacher, "Sir, why a child is sitting outside and not with rest of us in the classroom?" He said, "Calm down, this is not uncommon, this is your new day, make friends," and so on. Same answers were given by my family members and other friends. But every morning and afternoon, I saw that boy, sometimes alone and sometimes with his father. And every single day made me rather angry from inside, or sad, or confused. The combination of all kind of emotions. So one day I gathered my courage and asked to father and son. Boy was very shy, but the man stood up with folded hands and said, "Babuji, I never thought about it. My grandfather, my father and I started such work since we were children, and so is my son," he said. But then he took a pause, and I could feel utter helplessness, hopelessness, helplessness, miserability on his eyes, in his face and eyes. Then with folded hands he said, "Babuji, स्कूल जाने के लिए तो आप लोग हैं, हम तो यही काम करने के लिए पैदा हुए हैं. Sir, you guys are born to go to school, but we are born to work." And I had no answer. Suddenly my mind stopped and I started crying. Because other people says that it is not uncommon. And this man is also saying that this is the part of their journey of life. Tradition. So I could not do much. But I carried his empty eyes, the boy's empty eyes, with some question which were not clear. But for me, I was trying to make them clear for myself and tried to find answers to those questions, that why this child was working and I was going to school.
And what happened to that child?
I didn't know what happened later on, but for years in my primary school, that was a primary school. So I studied there only for a few years because my headmaster was very impressed with me for other things, not for this. So he said that this boy could be enrolled in grade 3 because he could do it. So suddenly I was promoted to grade 3 instead of grade 1. And so I stayed there for 2 years, and then I lost the track.
Then you decided at age 11 that you should actually organize a soccer club with your friends.
Yes, then I thought that maybe these children don't have fees, because those days school and education was not free. So I started collecting some money. And one way was to organize a football club. And football club in my street, narrow street. So during the rainy season, those streets were filled with water and filth and all kind of things. And I've learned to swim in that water. And remember that those days, in all our street and the neighboring streets, the toilets were open.
Yes.
Open latrines, open toilet.
Yeah.
So
everything comes
in water, and I was trying to fight with it. My nose and my eyes were trying to learn swim, but I was adamant that I will learn swimming in that, and I did it. And even now, I feel that I'm swimming in the ocean of all kind of filth, of hatred and violence, and
some things never change.
Things will never change. You have to swim and fight with that.
Yeah. So you raised money through the football club, and then you also got books for donation. That way you could hand to the kids who were underprivileged.
Yes, actually, that has a story, because when the new session began and I went to my school, the secondary school, that time I was 11, I saw that there were several seats remain empty. That included the seat of my best friend. He did not turn up. So I thought that maybe he's sick or some other reason. But I kept waiting for 3-4 days and he did not turn up. So I went to look for him and went to a small room where he and his brother was living. So I learned from the landlady that they have left about a month ago during the summer vacations because they did not have any money to pay the rent and they did not have enough to eat. So they left the city and went back to their village, which nobody knew. So I started again crying, and I was very sad, very upset, seeing his empty seat for a few days. But some other young people came, other students came. But then I started talking to other friends, and they said that many children leave the school because their parents don't have enough resources. Then this idea came to my mind. I had to wait for months. And then when this session's result was announced, that was the day of happiness, celebration. Everybody used to celebrate the success of their children. But in my mind, I was thinking of all those friends and classmates who dropped out or forced to leave. So my mother gave me some money to offer some prasad to nearby temple, and so was with my another friend. So two of us collected some money, and then we decided to rent a cart, the cart which is used for vegetable vendors. This man could not believe that an 11-year-old boy, me, and about 12, 13-year-old, another boy, why they were hiring that cart. But we paid. And then we decided to move around the neighborhood, not in my neighborhood, but other neighborhoods. And we were standing on turn by turn. I was standing on the cart, empty cart, and my friend was pulling. And I used to say that, uncles, aunties, ammaji, listen, congratulations, because your children or your grandchildren have passed out today. Because most of the children pass their classes and go to the next level. So they came and said, thank you, dhanyavad. So I said, listen. Now onwards, your children will go to the next grade, higher grade, and their syllabus books will be useless for them in most cases. But think of those children who have left schooling in between because they didn't have enough money to buy books. So people started paying attention. And then a few started bringing books and put on my cart. And within few hours, I could not believe in myself. Within, say, 3-4 hours, my cart was filled with books. Wow. And then I had to take another round. So more than 2,000 books were collected in one day. And they belong to different classes and different subjects, which I was not aware of, because some people have left their old books, university books or other books on my cart. So I had to take some advice and support from my teachers. And then this news spread all over. It was a small town, so people learned that two boys were just bagging or collecting books, used books. So eventually, with the help of our headmaster, we were able to collect more books. In few months, more than 10,000 books were collected. Wow. And then they set up a book bank. So people started calling me Kailash Book Bank Wala. So I was not having book bank. I was then 12-year-old, 11-year-old I started, and the book bank was settled when I was almost 12. So my headmaster and some other headmasters joined hands, and the bank was there to offer books for 1 year. Wow. And the headmaster had to make sure that these books will be returned after the full session and kept in good safe. So that book bank became a big thing in the town, and that was. But I tell you, Sekharji, that this was a kind of reincarnation for myself. Yeah. That has deepened my trust in humanity, and I was confident, and I'm still confident, that goodness rests with all of us. Absolutely. With every single. Somebody has to dare to take the first step, to be innovative, and to get out of shyness and fear and so on, and go for the betterment of humanity. Then I'm sure that when you start with one first step, then
others will follow.
Thousands or millions will follow.
They used to call me Chandu photocopier. Why? Like my name is Chandrasekhar. So everyone like in South India is, if you're Chandrasekhar, you're Chandu.
Good. Yeah, that is very common in North India also.
And like I'm a photocopier, like, because see, my mother used to like bundle like newspapers, so that the newspaper boy can go deliver next day. Like you'd have to like pack like 50 newspapers, 20 newspapers, put the advertising paper along with that, or the daily script and other things, which like movie related and other things. They would put pamphlets. So she would like wrap all of that. That way, like the delivery boy can take. So, and she used to work for Deccan Chronicle. So one day, so it is same, like similar story, different, but because my brother went to this Jesuit school because she knew a reporter, and the reporter actually recommended to her uncle, who was actually the principal of the school. So that's how my eldest brother got in. And then my second brother got in because my elder brother was like fairly smart. Then they said like third fellow cannot join because like we cannot have three kids from the same school. And then like I was not so smart. They asked me what is this color there. I said like that is like blue. It was gray. They said like disqualified. So and then like she kept like going to the school and the headmaster, and she stood for a year before like finally I got into the school. So my eldest brother would read that book, And because she worked for the printing press, they would bind the book. And then my second brother would read it. In between, like the guy who was binding also has kids. They will read. And then like it will get passed to my second brother.
Right.
He will read. And then that gets passed over to like, me after like 2-3 years. And then I would read. And then I used to feel very depressed giving away my book. So I said, like, I want to keep some of these pages. He said, no, like, you cannot, because, like, knowledge is like, you have to give it to pass it on.
Yeah.
So I said, how do I do this? So then one day she took me to the newspaper printing press. And I was like looking at all the things getting like printed. I said, how does this happen? She said, like, this is called a printing press. So I said, can I print my books? She said, no. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
Then like she said, how, like, can I then she said we could photocopy maybe. I said, like, what is photocopying? Oh, like you have to spend like 20 paise to get a page. I said, no, I'll not do that. So I started like hand sketching papers.
Oh.
Like, so that in the video that you see, like the boy holding two papers, one is a textbook and one is basically my photocopy. So every kid in the slum used to come and say, photocopy my book. So I became a Chandu photocopier.
Good. Interesting.
So like, Jugaad comes like, in many ways, but what an inspirational story. Like, like at age 12, like you have that wisdom to go basically collect books and hand over. So tell me the journey after that. You went to electrical engineering. You basically like, had a profession. And then you decided to give all of that up.
Well, as you know, in typical Indian lower middle class
You have to be a
families,
doctor or an engineer.
So your destiny is normally decided by the parents or relatives or others. So since I was good at mathematics and science subjects and so on, so they had a dream that I should or I could go to engineering, so that I could get. That was difficult those days as well. Now you can give a lot of money and get a seat in engineering or medical professions. But those days, we didn't have too many engineering colleges in India. In Madhya Pradesh also, that time, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, these two states were just one. And there were only 7 engineering colleges in these two states. Now, I think 50, 100 or more engineering colleges in the capital of Madhya Pradesh, Bhopal. So, difficult to get admission. And we had only 60 seats per year. But I got selected, and then I got a scholarship the very first year. So it was easy. I became engineer, but I always thought that I can fulfill the dreams of my parents or my elder brothers. But this is not me. I cannot continue with that. Because not just these two incidents, but several other incidents were so deep in my heart, so deep. I wanted to change that situation. And that was not possible.
Being an engineer.
So I was making up my mind that one day I have to give up. But how and when I can give up? Because after my graduation or during the last year of my graduation, lot of troubles came in between. Like in India, this political emergency was declared, and 1975, and it went on up to 1997. So in 2 years, this was the period of lot of turmoil, especially for the young people. And I was very involved in the
political
youth,
agitation.
not political, I would say, but social movements and student movements. And most of the student movements were aligned with the pro-democracy movements those days. So millions of young people in schools, colleges, universities got involved in that. So was my college and me being a student leader. So that has...
This was during that Morarji Desai time, and
this was Indira Gandhi time. Indira Gandhi has imposed the emergency, and that went on for 2 years, or almost 2 years. So many of us could not continue our study in normal sense, and it disrupted our studies. But finally, when the emergency was lifted, I could complete my engineering. That was also difficult for my family because my mother, I lost my father when I was a teenager. I was 17. Mother had to sell out her ornaments for my higher studies because I wanted to continue. My interest was in transformer design, high voltage transformer design. So after my electrical engineering course, I did this also. Not the postgraduate graduation MTech, but there was a special course which I did. So I thought that once I have that specialization, then I can get easy jobs in any big company in India, so that I can earn some money for a year or two and give it to my mother, my elder brothers. That I did. So I taught in the university for about 1.5 years, 2 years, almost 2 years. But gradually I made up my mind that I have to give it up. I cannot chase my own dreams. I cannot bring about change in society, especially for children, until and unless I don't leave this job.
Is that when you started Sangars Jari Rahega?
After that, just after that.
Yeah.
So during my student life also, I used to write in newspapers, in also weekly and monthly magazines in Hindi and sometimes in English also. So that was also my hobby. And the hobby grew because they used to pay some money. The publications used to pay some money. So I thought that even if I give up my job, somehow I can survive. But that was the time when I got married in an affluent family. My wife, Sumedha, comes from a very well-established family in Delhi. Her grandfather was a freedom fighter, and her father ran a big publication house and so on. So she was happy. And we had a 1-year-old child when I gave up my engineering. So I never believed in typical charity or giving kindness and that kind of thing, because I was clear up to that age that these are the systemic problems. These are the institutional problems, deep rooted in cultures, politics, societies, and so on.
Tell me why, we have this problem of, is it feudalistic society? Are we a feudalistic society? Is that why it is? Or is it like...
It's a combination of several factors. One is the greediness of employers and the vulnerability of poor people, societies, communities who are traditionally backward. They have deliberately kept backward or poor. So it becomes easy for those who wanted to make easy money out of
Poor people
and children in particular. Children and women are the worst sufferers of these situations. So children cannot raise their voice, cannot form the unions, they cannot go to the court after law. They could easily be, exploited physically, mentally, but also sexually in many cases. So that goes on. So this is the biggest reason.
It's a greed, and
it's a greed of employers as well as the failure of system, failure of laws and enforcement agencies and so on. But when I started, there was no law. So that was the most difficult thing. So when I decided to work for these children and wanted to end child slavery, in larger terms, human slavery, and that was the fight for freedom and dignity of every child, the most difficult thing was the mass mentality, or a kind of uh, uh, myth that if these children don't work, then they will starve. So people who are exploiting them also feeling that kind of uh, uh, thing that they are also helping those children. So on one hand, they are exploiting. On the other hand, they used to pretend that they are helping them, those families as well. That is very much, you know, resonant with the feudal mentality. So the combination of all these factors. And that went on because there was no issue. Nobody was talking or thinking about it. So there was no single organization. There was no law in India. There were old British laws. They had some small sections on children here and there, like children working in mines, but they're mining law, not child labor law. So India did not have its own law against child labor.
Most of the world doesn't have, actually.
No, most parts of the world. Even people cannot believe that until 1989, there was no international
Labor
law.
organization.
No, international law or any UN convention to protect the rights of children, because the notion of rights of children has not yet popular or yet not yet born officially. So UN Convention on the Rights of the Child was adopted by the UN General Assembly only in 1989, and it came to being in 1990. But someone like me started my fight against child slavery in 1980, 81, a decade before the international community and the world has thought and established a convention. But even then, there was no specific law against child slavery until 1999.
Yes.
It took another 10 years. And for that, we had to organize the long marches, including the Global March Against Child Labor, which went across 103 countries. We have covered 80,000 kilometers distance, which is double than the periphery of the earth. It took 6 months from 3 corners of the world to reach in the ILO's General Assembly in Geneva with this demand that we need a law to stop child slavery, child trafficking, use of children in wars and conflicts and hazardous occupations. And we succeeded, luckily. But the history of the fight for freedom of children and childhood is not a long history. It's very short.
So, can you go back to the day when you stopped writing and then someone came to you and said, like, my daughter is actually like getting trafficked, and you stopped writing, you wanted to go and, like, rescue the kid from the um, I think it was a brick kiln.
Yeah.
And so tell me that whole, like, story, what happened. And was his name Waleed Khan or
No, Vasil Khan.
Vasil Khan.
Vasil Khan. And his daughter's name was
Sabo.
Sabo was 17-year-old. No, sorry. Sabo was 15-year-old when she was about to be sold to a brothel. That girl was born and grew up at a brick kiln where the whole family was confined in slavery, bonded labor system. So one day, as you said, this gentleman came and knocked on my door.
How did he know about you? You were writing.
I started a magazine because I thought that the consciousness, the awareness is the first step for transformation, for change. So people must know, because there was a mental complacency for centuries that they are poor people, they are poor children, they are low-caste children, they are low-caste people, and so on and so forth. That goes on so deep in the society. In addition to greediness, in addition to illicit, illegal, unethical profit by employing children and women in these conditions, slavery conditions, because they need not to pay any money to these families. This was the case of Wasal Khan also. So when Wasal and his wife got married, somebody came to their village and offered them a good job in Punjab. So they were taken from their native village in Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh, to a different state, Punjab, the place called Sarhind, along with many more families from the nearby villages. For 17 years, they were not allowed to leave that fence premises of a brick kiln. Children were born and grew up there, many children, including Sabo. And one day, parents saw that some unknown people came from a brothel and they were bargaining the price. They wanted to buy that girl, and employer was saying, the slave master was saying that this girl is virgin and you have to pay more money. So that girl was taken to a room and these people have touched their body and all kind of nonsense happened. So when this girl came, she was almost fainted. Wasal Khan told me that this has happened. So he didn't know what to do. So in the middle of the night, he jumped into a brick-loaded truck, which was going for selling bricks. So the whole night truck ran on the road, and it has reached in Chandigarh. Chandigarh is the capital town of Punjab. So he was running here and there and crying and touching the feet of the people on the street and in other places, public places. So luckily, he was guided to go to an area which was the court area, as he said, that there were a lot of lawyers. So luckily, he encountered a person who was the subscriber of my magazine, that is called Sangharsh Jari Rahega. In Hindi, struggle shall continue. So Sangharsh Jari Rahega was totally devoted for the cause of children, women who had no place in the mainstream media. So their stories were put there. So I was the editor, I was the publisher, I was the reporter and photographer and proofreader. Everything was done by me. So he came to me carrying that magazine that was given by this gentleman. And when he came, he fell down on the, and then I offered him some tea and water, and he was holding my feet and crying badly, Babuji, meri Sabo ko bacha lo, please save my daughter Sabo, and so on. So I started writing about him, and when I was writing, he came with only one expectation, that if I write something about her and the family, perhaps some help can come from the government or from police or someone. That was the purpose of my magazine also. So he told the story, and I started feeling something different, and I lost in my emotions or my feelings and thought that what should be done, what could be done. Writing is not enough. So I left my pencil and book and told Vasal that, look, my brother, I am going to rescue your daughter at any cost. Because I started feeling, if she was my daughter or my sister, what would I do? I was 26-year-old. And if a 15-year-old is my sister, I'm not simply going to write and wait that somebody will do something. So he started crying again, and he said, no, Babuji, you have to, if you go there, they will kill you and me. Please do something. And this man did not know the difference between somebody who is writing, somebody who is a social worker. I was not a social worker in that sense, or a government officer. He was thinking Babuji means some big guy, big gun, and he will help. He will send someone immediately, order some police or someone, which I could not do. I was like him. So I brought him back to my home. My home means there was a small room, 10 feet by 8 feet, where my wife Sumedha, my son Bhuvan, and I was living. And then I brought Vasal to live with us. They spend nights so that we can plan what could be done. Anyway, so I have asked my daughter, my wife. She comes from that background and that family. So she understood that if we have to rescue his family, then we need some logistics, some money. And we did not have money. So she took out her wedding ornaments and gave to me that you can sell it or you can mortgage it. And then because we needed at least a truck to go with us, because Vasal told that there are more than 30 people living there. All of them were slaves. Yeah. So no, these bonded laborers. And their families. So if they are rescued,
you need a truck to bring them
you
back.
need a truck to bring. But how could I rescue them? That was no design, no detailed planning, and so on and so forth. No project proposal, no money, nothing like that. What would happen? But the drive was much more deeper, much more genuine, much more powerful, I would say. So if you have that drive, then the innovative solutions emerge in your mind. So that was a craziness for other people, but for me, it was my mission. So somehow we went there. I took some of my friends. Somehow I made them agree. So 5 of us were beaten up badly. Vasal Khan was caught at the brick kiln. And I could see Sabo from the distance, because as soon as we arrived from the truck, many children ran close to the truck, including this girl. And Vasal Khan was very happy, but quite nervous and quite frightened. But he said, "This is my daughter." I could feel that she's like my own sister. So, but it did not happen. We had to run back. Our clothes were torn. We had to leave our chappals, shoes there, and we had to run because the truck driver left. He was also frightened. So the reason was that within no time, the local police and the slave masters came and started beating us and so on. But we came back, ran up to the road, and from there we took some convenience, and then we reached Chandigarh. But luckily, we were able to collect some photos before the slave masters and police arrived. So photos were the evidence, real evidence, which we used in the court in Delhi. So we did not give up. I know some friends, and my friends also know some friends. One of them was a good lawyer. So with the help of that lawyer, we were able to rescue 36 children, women, and men.
Wow.
And this was the first documented or recorded incident of freeing children, men, and women from slavery by a civilian person or a group of civilians in the history of humankind.
Wow.
In the contemporary world, there is no other example when somebody has suddenly gone and freed people, slaves, in that situation. So that I learned later on when the people did some research or other people started saying. But for us, that was just the
nicest thing to do. It was the right thing to do.
Yeah, we thought that this is the right thing.
Yeah. Wow. So, like after that, like you've rescued 138,000 people, like 1.38.
Not just one go. This is not. This is not that suddenly we went and
No, but every
rescued.
time you go, you
It
rescue
took-
like
it took-
100,
It took
200.
40 years or so.
Yeah.
My people.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I underline here that the sacrifice of my people, many, including 3 who are martyrs in us, is a million times bigger than what I did for humanity.
You lost 3 people of your own.
I lost 3 people. One was shot dead, one was beaten to death, and one died in the operation. So in the actions. So they made their supreme sacrifice for the cause. And sometimes we used to joke that how many of us are well educated and trained after a year of work in the organization. And 80% people raised their hands. And their education was going to free children and families. And they were beaten up, they were injured. That was their best certificate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are there any people that you remember like Kalu, like Lakshman, right? Like the.
Oh, many. Of course.
And tell me their stories. Like what was, because I know like one of them met like Clinton. Kalu met Clinton, and then Lakshman became a lawyer, like fighting for human rights.
Not Lakshman. That was Amarlal.
Amarlal.
Yeah, but Lakshman is there. Lakshman is the one who passes my bill. Today I came in my car, and tomorrow or day after tomorrow, somebody has to pass the petrol bill. And that petrol bill would be signed and authorized by Lakshman Master.
Wow.
So Lakshman was the guy whose father borrowed some money, and he was a bonded labor in stone quarries. And then the son was also working there as a child slave. That was back in early 80s. So we have rescued a group of people and children those days. Lakshman was one of them. And he was very curious to learn more in life and wanted to go to school, because every morning, he told me when he was rescued, that every morning when he was carrying the pieces of stones at the age of, say, 12 or so, 13, many other children would go to nearby school, and they were carrying school books and bags and water bottles. So he was eager to go to school. So I put him in a school, and then he studied good, and then he passed out his 12th grade. And then he said that he wanted to teach other children. So he became teacher. So people started calling him master. Still now he is called Lakshman Master. Then he was interested in commerce. So he studied commerce in college. And then he became accountant in the organization. And later on, he was elected as the treasurer of the entire movement and the organizations which we led and founded. So Lakshman Master is that guy. That was the first generation of touching the book or pencil or pen. The second generation is also working with us, some of them. One of his sons is an engineer in the government job. Second son is a chartered accountant himself, chartered accountant. So he is working as chartered accountant. And the third one has done his MBA. So he's working with us, looking after our administrative or managerial things. So that's why I say that if we are able to save one generation, then
next generation automatically
they will take care of themselves in the future. Just one generation.
I can also relate to it. Like most of my cousins, whoever was able to have a little bit of an escape velocity, their children are doing very, very well. Like my one of my niece actually like is a doctor. The other one is like trying to be an entrepreneur at the age like 19.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't like look like the same class of people who came, and you're so right, actually. Like, you rescue one generation, every other generation almost feels obligated that they don't want to get back to the old one. Like, no one wants to make the origin story their origin story. They want to have a different destination story.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So Kalu ji, like, he met like Clinton.
Kalu is martyr now because he sacrificed his life while working in the field, and he has a snake bite while he was in the midst of a campaign for education. So when we rescued Kalu, he had innumerable scars and burns on his body. He was that time about 12-year-old. So when he was 6, he was lured away from his native village to work at a carpet factory or carpet workshop. So he worked for 6 years in slavery. And when he would cry for his mother, because he lost his mother in early age, and then he always missed her. So that boy was beaten up. If he would make some mistake, then he was burned and beaten up badly. But he had a kind of infectious smile on his face. Lot of positivity, wanted to help and support others. So he was brought back to our ashram after freedom, and he stayed there for several years. And then he helped everyone. He was very bright in schooling, even better than my case. So he was enrolled in the 4th grade after almost 1 year of basic education, which we gave in ashram informally. So non-formal education, but formally he was enrolled in 4th grade, and then suddenly 6th grade after a year instead of 5th grade. So he was very bright boy. So he was chosen by other children in the ashram people to accompany with me at a very big event in Washington, D.C. That was the launch of Kerry Kennedy's book, Speak Truth to Power, where I was portrayed along with 49 other change makers in the world. So I took Kalu with me, considering. That was always my belief that this credit was not for me, because people know me because of the children like Kalu. So all my credit goes to those who trusted on me, their parents or they themselves or so on, and lived with me in our ashrams. That made Kailash Satyarthi. So I asked Kerry that if you wanted to, felicitate someone, it should not be me, but it should be one of those children. So she was very, very happy, and I took Kalu with me. And when Kalu met President Clinton, because President has launched that book, so Kalu questioned him in a private space before the book launch celebration began. And he said, Mr. President, I represent one of those 250 children who are living in child labor and slavery, and you are the most powerful person on the earth. So tell me, what are you doing for those children? And President Clinton thought that he has been parroted for that. So then he engaged in some talk. And Kalu was very fast and bright. And then eventually, President hugged him and asked his person in front of me and others that please find out what are our policies on supporting eradication of child labor through United States or so United Nations or ILO or bilaterally. I thought that something would happen. But the day when we were coming back from US, we learned that President Clinton has increased the support for eradication of child labor to ILO 6 times.
Wow.
Not just doubled it, but it had made 6 times. So that was the power of truth. That was the real meaning of speak truth to power. Kerry Kennedy's book, which was launched by President.